Hi, this is Linda and Aaron with Traveling Flamingo, and today we're here to give you our 9 tips on the Walt Disney World FastPass system and help you sort of plan your vacation using that. So we've had a couple people when we've been on the park have said to us like it was a bit complicated and they weren't sure which ones to book or they weren't happy with the way they booked them. And we've used it quite a while. I've been really happy with the system and the fact that I can book something like 7 Dwarfs in advance. I know that I'm not going to have to wait an hour to 2 hours in line to do that ride and can enjoy more things in the park that day. And so yeah, we've used it many years. We're ready to give you guys some tips on that. And if you're not familiar with the FastPass system at all though, we're not going to go into all those details on how to book it. We've already made a video for that. So check out our Everything You Need to Know About the FastPass system at Disney World video, because that will go into a more specific detail if you've never used the system before at all.
So some general tips that we wanted to give you. Tip number 1 is you can book 60 days in advance for your fast passes if you're staying on property, 30 days if you're not. That opens up at 7 Eastern Standard Time, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for very busy rides like Avatar or Slinky Dog, the new rides that have just been built, I'm sure when Star Wars comes out, those are going to be crazy as well. You really have to be there at 7 a.m. And if you are not staying on property, again, you only get a 30-minute window. So it may make sense 30 day. It may make sense to stay on property so you get that advanced booking. But again, it's up to you. But 7 a.m. Eastern Time, 60 days in advance, or 30 days if you're not staying on property.
So Epcot, Hollywood, Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, they all have FastPass systems. So our next tip is just so you know, if you're going to a water park, you don't have to worry about booking fast passes that day for the water park.
Our third tip is they use a tiered system for booking rides at Disney. Tier 1 rides cannot be booked together on a fast pass for that day. So for example, if you're booking for Animal Kingdom, the Navi River Journey and Flight of Passage cannot be booked together. So even though you have 3 fast passes, you can only use 1 on those Tier 1 rides, and then you have to book for other things. So just be prepared that you can't book everything necessarily that you want to book on a fast pass. There are some mutually exclusive limitations. We will describe those in the end of the video. And that does not apply to Magic Kingdom. So if you're going to Magic Kingdom, there are no exclusivity problems when it comes to Tier 1 rides there. But all the other parks, you're going to have to expect that you might have to make some trade-offs. And that's where park hoppers can really come in handy, because you can hop back.
Yeah, so our tip number 4 is that you can book for more than one park. So if you do have a park hopper, that means you can book a couple of fast passes at one park in the morning or another in the afternoon. So we've used this for a couple different ways. We've booked all of our fast passes at one park in the morning, and then when we have dinner reservations in a different park, we're able to book another fast pass in a different park later. We've also used it when we wanted to do another Tier 1 ride in a different park. We weren't able to get it earlier in our trip, so then we booked it for later on in the day when we were going to park hop back to that one later. So you are able to book in 2 different parks.
Our 5th tip, once all 5 of your fast passes are used up, you can then book individual fast passes for that day at any park with park hopper.
All 3.
3, sorry, no. Once all 3.
Tip number 5, 3 fast passes.
Once those are used up, you can then book individual rides. Our tip there is to make sure that all of your fast passes are booked for the AM as early as you can, so as that you're able to start getting individual rides. And you can basically at that point just start, once you're in the queue, once you're in the line and you've used your fast pass, you can instantly book your next one. So we typically go in the ride and figure out what our next one's going to be and just keep booking and just getting on and off rides for the rest of the day.
Our 6th tip is that right now we find that Epcot and Hollywood Studios do not take us a full day. They're half day or maybe a little bit longer than half day. So those are days that we usually park hop on. So if you're planning those ones, we do try specifically as well for those parks to really make sure our fast passes are close together so we are able to get to another park.
And our 7th tip is with character spots. So you can book a fast pass for those character spots. Our suggestion is generally just to go for like the character breakfast, the character lunch, or the character dinner. Again, you get sort of a wide array of characters that you get to see. The characters are not guaranteed though, so if there is a specific character you really want to see, then yeah, go ahead and get the character spot for that specific one. But generally speaking, you can just go to those, go to the character lunches or dinners. They're a little bit more expensive, but you get to see all the characters, you get all of them checked off mostly at once. We also have a video on sort of what character breakfasts to go and see and sort of what the best options for those are. And again, that will be popping up on your screen, or there's a link in the description below to it.
So our 8th tip is something that's new this year. If you are staying club level, for an extra $50 US per person per day, you can pay for an extra 3 FastPasses for each day that you're able to then book 90 days in advance. And you can also book multiple one-tier rides, first-tier rides. So, I mean, we've had family who stayed club level. When they stayed before, we really didn't see the value in it. It cost quite a bit more, so they actually didn't stay as long as we did because they were paying that much extra to stay club level. So, I mean, it does add a little bit extra to if you're going to choose to stay club level, but now you're paying an extra $50 per person per day. So we'd be like, if it's just the 2 of us, that's an extra $100 per day. If you're there with a couple kids, you're looking at an extra $200 US per day. We'd rather just stay longer, and then you'd have more FastPasses because you're staying longer. But that is something that's new that come out this year. So if that's something that's in your budget or you're looking at doing, if you're already thinking about club level, that may be something you want to consider adding on.
It does add more value to club level. Again, it is $50 more, which I think is a little bit odd since you're already paying more for club level, but it does add more value to that concept. Again, you know, we've had friends and family that have stayed there, and you know, I don't think we generally see the value proposition that comes from that. Again, we'd rather just stay longer, but again, it's, you know, if you've got the option, or maybe you're just staying for 3 days and you want to get all of this in, then it's a good way to go, right? So our 9th tip is one that we will leave at the end. So we're going to go through the list of what all of the Tier 1 rides are in the different parks, and then we'll get to our last tip at the end, so keep watching.
Yeah, so we're going to go through each park. We're going to start with Epcot, then we're going to talk about Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom, and Magic Kingdom. And we're going to go through what the Tier 1 rides are and our recommendations for which one you should book. So the first one is Epcot. The Tier 1 rides are Frozen Ever After, Soarin', Test Track, and Character Spots. If you're going with people who really love Frozen, kids or, you know, adult kids who really like Frozen, we recommend booking that one. The lines can get pretty long for that. Really love doing Test Track. It's a bit more of a thrill ride. It does have a single rider line though, so if not everybody in your party wants to do that, that's an option for the people who do want to do it. Soarin' is a really cool experience that they have as well. So if that is a motion simulator, so as long as everybody in your group is good with motion simulators, that's a really great one to book. So really there, the 3 are very different. I think it depends on what you and your group really wants to do, but you're only going to be able to book one of those 3.
In Hollywood Studios, the Tier 1 rides are Alien Swirling Saucers, Slinky Dog Dash, and Toy Story Mania. Of course, the Slinky Dog Dash, being one of the newest rides there, is going to be one of the most popular. It is definitely a ride worth booking a FastPass for. However, if you've got kids or, you know, people who maybe don't want to go on a roller coaster, the Alien Swirling Saucers is a great ride. It's a good sort of scramble ride. And lastly, Toy Story Mania is another great ride that's been there obviously for a while, but Toy Story Mania is one that, you know, we highly recommend as well. But those lines can get very long, and Alien Swirling Saucer usually only gets to maybe about 45 minutes when we were there in the summer, just after it opened. So we would highly recommend that you book Slinky Dog, and then Toy Story Mania, and then Alien Swirling Saucers.
Yeah, what worked for us this summer was we booked Slinky Dog as early in the day as we could. So we went to the park for opening. We were able to do Toy Story Midway Mania twice, and then we also got on Swirling Saucers all without FastPasses really quickly. So definitely, if you plan on doing Slinky Dog Dash, try your best to get your FastPass for that.
And a lot of that is going to change once Star Wars opens. So, you know, obviously we're telling you this before Star Wars is open, but once Star Wars is open, those will change. So if you're watching this and Star Wars is open, you may want to double check what's available in the Tier 1 system.
So at Animal Kingdom, there are 2 Tier 1 rides. It's the Flight of Passage and the Navi River ride. Both of those are in Avatar Land. Now, if you are, again, the Flight of Passage is more of a thrill ride. It's a virtual one. So if you're not into that, you know, do the Navi River ride. It's a really cool experience. I would recommend trying it. It's very immersive. I felt more immersed than I did on Soarin', so it was really good. The Navi River ride, to me, is like the Pandora it's a small world, so it's a really slow sort of river moving ride. They've done a great job theming it. Looks beautiful inside, but the lineups for Flight of Passage can be hours upon hours, and Navi River Ride, it's usually not as bad during the day. So I would use your FastPass for Flight of Passage for sure.
And lastly, Magic Kingdom. There are no Tier 1 rides at Magic Kingdom. The longest rides there, though, that you'll get are usually sort of the bigger thrill rides, which would be Space Mountain, which generally always has a pretty long wait. Seven Dwarfs, which, in my opinion, not exactly sure why it has such a long wait time, but it is a good ride. I'd say it's a good, if the wait's longer than 45 minutes, I'd say skip it if you've done it before. If you haven't done it before, it is a good ride. It's just...
We still try to book a FastPass for it to do it, but...
Yeah, it's an okay.
Yeah.
It's short. I think that's the biggest problem. You go on something like Thunder Run, and Thunder Run is a great long ride that's got lots of thrill, and, the Seven Dwarfs is like a third of that. Anyways, it is a good ride. If you have kids, though, Peter Pan is always busy and pretty much a classic ride. And the character spots, so the Mickey Mouse in the Main Street Theater, if you want to be guaranteed to see Mickey Mouse, because as we said, the character dining, you're not always guaranteed those characters, although we've never not been there with Mickey and Minnie, but go to the theater on Main Street and you can get a FastPass and get your photos taken with Mickey.
Yeah, pretty much a FastPass for that. Yeah. Another sort of idea when you're thinking about those FastPasses, so if you have got a FastPass booked, and because of weather or it's broken or whatever reason it is shut down at that time. So even if it was for a ride that was for not a Tier 1 ride, you can still use it on a Tier 1 ride. So we were at Animal Kingdom and Dinosaurs was down for whatever reason. Aaron was like, well, let's just see what happens. So we booked a FastPass for it, and it's like, then we were able to, it said, that your FastPass was unable to be used anywhere. It was crazy. We've never really tried that before, so that's just sort of an option if you're there and you know that this has happened or you weren't able to get a ride for that you can sort of try and play the system a little bit like that.
So our last tip, which I know you've been waiting for, our 9th tip, it is to bring a power pack and a cable for your device. You will use a lot of battery, using the My Disney Experience for booking FastPasses, using My Disney Experience for booking dining, changing FastPasses, and then there's also the Disney Play app that you can use in the queues, so the battery life of your devices, your kids' devices, all of the devices will go very quickly. So there are fuel rod stations that you can buy a fuel rod battery pack. They're in all of the theme parks. However, we don't find that too convenient. We are international travelers, so we wouldn't use the fuel rod anywhere else but Disney. And I'm sure fuel rod isn't everywhere in the United States. So we will put a few links to battery packs that we use in the parks. We have everything from very large battery packs to charge, several devices or GoPros or cameras, to just sort of individual one charge reuse batteries. But really, really important to bring those because you will go through battery life like crazy, and you've got Wi-Fi, so if you're communicating with friends and family, and your battery is just going to die. Cell phone battery life isn't all that great. Yeah,
and as Aaron said, as international travelers, I'm very happy just to have a power pack and a cable in my backpack that I know that we have whenever one of us needs to top up our phone batteries. So thank you so much for watching. We really hope that you liked our tips, that you found some of them useful when you're planning your vacation. Maybe it helped remind you of a trip that you usually had. If you agree, disagree, or have anything that you'd like to see us do more in our videos, please let us know. And thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe and like button.
Thanks.